This is a quick tutorial on how to make the pattern for the oven mitt. Right now we're going to start making the pattern for the top of the oven mitt, which is really easy. All you need to do is take a simple piece of paper like one you'd get from your printer. I had to add a little bit of extra so I could have a piece of paper that's 13 inches long. So from point A to point B it's 13 inches. I like to start by folding it in half just so I can get a center line. It's just really rough. You just have this as a little bit of a guideline. So now that you have your piece of paper folded in half, you're just going to quickly measure up 8 inches. So this is my 8-inch line, and now when I'm there, I do another quick fold. And this is going to come in handy a lot in just 1 second. So now that we have this, we're going to start now with the bottom of our oven mitt. The width of the oven mitt at your cuff is going to be 8 inches. So you're going to mark 8 inches at the very bottom of your piece of paper. It's a little bit longer than 8 inches, so we just have to quickly find our center point and find 4 inches. Mark off there, and mark out off the other 8 inches. At your center point here, it's going to taper diagonally inward, so it wants to be 7 inches at the point where you fold it. So half of 7 inches is 3.5. Line it up with the lines you have already made, and put in some marks. Now this point is pretty easy. All you have to do is connect the dots. Simple stuff. So after we're going to do this, we're going to make the top curve of the oven mitt, and there's really nothing special to do this. Basically find the top of your paper and just create a nice little curve matching up your lines. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. And instead of creating a matching curve, what I usually do is I just fold the paper again, and this is the point where I cut it. I'm using the opposite fold now, so then you get out your scissors and you start cutting. It doesn't have to be too exact. This isn't a rocket science. You just got to get a main template. So that's really simple, really basic. You have now your top piece for your oven mitt. So as long as you remember from this bottom to the top is going to be 13 inches. Mark up 8 inches. Fold a line. This point to 7 inches. Draw your diagonal line. Create your half loop. Cut it out, and now you have your top done. Now we're going to flip it over, and the next thing we're going to do is learn how to make the thumb portion on the bottom. Now this is how you're going to do the bottom portion of your oven mitt. Basically it's quite similar to the top portion. We're just going to do a couple of adjustments. I actually like to take the top portion and use it a little bit as a guide. So you're going to line it up, and you're going to trace it until you get to that 8-inch fold. So you just take your lines and you trace it one side and you trace the other. And again, this doesn't have to be rocket science. This is just a quick, easy template. So now that you have it there, again, I like to just fold it because it makes everything just a little bit easier for landmarking. I'm just going to measure really quick. I got a little bit more than 8 inches, but in the end it won't really matter. So now with this, you're going to need to assess your middle. Basically like what we did for the top, it's just now here comes a little bit of an alteration. You are now going to measure 4 inches up on the center line. And this now is going to be the top of your oven mitt. So we'll just make a little bit of a line. This part is where your thumb is going to be. So it's going to be this part. And now here comes the drawing part with your hands. So again, this is just kind of a eyeballing thing. At this point, you're just going to curve in and make a thumb shape. That's about right. You just want a little bit of a curve there. So now that you have this, take your fold and you get your handy dandy scissors and you just cut. And if you want to adjust it while you're cutting, you can. If you don't even want to draw it and just go cut it, you can feel free to do that as well. Cut all down the line. And now you have the bottom part of your oven mitt. Sometimes it gets a little pointy at the top, but let's see how accurate we did. It's pretty close. We can't forget also that we have seam allowance on here as well. So the seam allowance is inside that I've already sewn. It's pretty close, and it's going to fit nicely onto our top piece. We actually could probably take this down a little bit, but I think we're just going to leave it for right now. The last part of our pattern, all we have to make is the part that will attach and connect them. So we're going to have to make this part, and this part is just easy. It's going to be tracing, so I'll show you in one sec. So now that you have your your outside shell of the oven mitt, we're going to make the hand part. Like I said, all this is tracing. Oh, hi, kitty. So what you're going to do is you're going to remember where your center line is. Mark this off. This is where your two pieces are going to meet. And then all you do is just trace along the line. You want to have it pretty accurate to what you have on your pattern already, just so when you're going to go sew, they're going to match up. Watch out, kitty. So now we have this. We have the top portion, then you just flip it over. Take this, where you made the lines is where your other center part is. It hypothetically should line up, which it does for me. And now we just trace it again. If you're going to make these oven mitts kind of like a puppet or a monster or some type of animal, something like that, you're going to want the thumb a little bit bigger, just so you can have a little bit more of a puppet appearance. If you just want them for more function, you can make this piece a little bit smaller on both this template and that template. But if you have it a little bit bigger, it's going to more look like a mouth. So basically it'll look a little bit more like this. And also don't forget, we don't have any of the stuffing or any of the insulation either for the oven mitt. Then once you have this, all you have to do is simply cut it out, and then you're going to have both of yours made. This I don't have any measurements for, just because I do the tracing, as it makes it a lot easier for when you sew. And I think it's going to be a lot easier for you guys as well. So you cut it out, and then everything should fit together. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to trace it out or pin it down to your fabric. Don't forget, you're probably going to want the same oven mitt, so you're going to need to cut 2 out for each. So if you fold your fabric and cut from your pattern, you should be set to go. So these now are your pieces to making your oven mitt. And then I will show you when I cut it out, and then we'll be good to go. You can refer to the other video for that one.